You are listening to Been There, Done That. We present some of the smartest people connected to the business of coffee. People who've succeeded in the tough grind of hospitality by staying ahead of the rest. So join us as we explore the secrets to their success and help you accelerate your business. This show is brought to you by the Coffee Commune, where the coffee community comes to collaborate. Enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Phil DeBella, and we've got another episode of Been There, Done That, where we're sharing success stories with young guns. And today I've got Georgina Venzin, who is an absolute powerhouse of a lady, very passionate about what she does, and very experienced in the industry at a tender age of 34.
34.
And so, Georgina, welcome to the show.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. I'm on the right side of the ground, and any better it'd be illegal is something that normally comes to mind. But what I want to unpack on the show, on this series, we're talking about success stories. We want to inspire the young to get involved in the industry. We want to tell people's great stories of what's happened to get them to where they are. So we'll talk a bit about your foundations. We'll talk a bit about how you got to store 1 and then how you got to store 4 and what's next for you from your vision. But I want to kick it off. We're starting to see a bit of a theme. So at the tender age of 13, you were working part-time washing dishes, which for your dad.
Yes.
And there seems to be a theme here that we all started washing dishes at a young age. So let's kick it off. It starts with strong foundations.
Yeah.
Talk us through your story.
I mean, as in to get to year 1 or starting washing dishes?
No, from the start of hospitality before you got to store 1. Let's talk about the foundations that are laid before we start building our own empires.
I guess we need to learn to work hard. That's the first foundation, and that is hospitality. So I remember, I was telling the story the other day, my dad's restaurant, which is Monster, I was in Camp Hill and I lived in Ormiston. And so I used to walk home, get changed, walk back to the train station in Cleveland, catch a train to Camp Hill. Dad would pick me up and I would be on the dish shift for the first couple of years, I think until I was legal. Then I was allowed to come out the front. Yeah. And then I had a lovely purple tie dress, which I wore, which was so embarrassing, but I did it.
Love it.
And I did that for years, all until probably 18, and then I started doing other jobs along the way. So I worked at Crazy Clark's, I worked at Fish on Fire in Cleveland as well, I worked at City Beach, and I was just always working to, I guess, earn some money and buy my whatever I wanted.
Isn't that fantastic? So tell me, what was going through your mind back then in terms of work, in terms of what your future vision was? You know, what was driving you to, get in there and, catching trains, getting picked up. Now people just jump in an Uber or don't want to, I won't work more than 2 kilometres from my house.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind? Why did you do what you did then in the foundation period?
I always just enjoyed, I enjoyed working hard, and I enjoyed seeing, after a week of work, the pay in the bank, and then being able to purchase whatever I wanted and not have to ask mum and dad. Like on a personal level, I think they were, probably that time they were separating, so you kind of didn't want to go and annoy mum and dad with anything else that you didn't have to. And I just wanted to, if I wanted something, I wanted to buy it myself.
So independent from a young age?
Yeah, pretty much. I just wanted to make it happen and not have to ask anyone. And then obviously, you have such a reward from working. You feel good. You have, especially in hospitality, we get so much confidence. You're dealing in a team. I was 13 then working with Thai people. I couldn't even understand what they were saying, so it's just laughing and, sign language for whatever it was. And then the confidence for being like, okay, now you can be at the front and you can answer the phones and then you can be clearing tables and every level that kind of comes next. Yeah. With working at Mons or at Crazy Clark's, I was, stacking shelves and talking to people. I think it just, it creates such a sense of self and social skills, and confidence comes with it the more that you do it and the more you try different things.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it, Georgina, because, people see above the water, and we talk about that a lot. They'll see, the building come out of the ground and they'll see 10 stories, 20 stories, but they don't see how many months of foundations have been laid into it or what's gone into it. Yeah. And that's something we really want to shine a light on in this show, is that it all starts with foundations, and it all starts with, for you at 13, working your dad's business, having to travel far to get there, having to wear uniforms you didn't necessarily like. But the key takeaways are the lessons you learned. You learned about how to gain self-confidence.
Yes.
How to communicate with people, even if it was through sign language sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You talk about stacking shelves with such pride, and I love that. And today I talk about, unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of 2-minute noodles, and we'll talk about that later because you employ a lot of people. People want to start at the top, and not do the groundwork. Yes. And, but in the spirit of this show being all about sharing success stories, the key takeaway to somebody who's 13 or 14 right now is what?
I would just say get in there and do it, and it does take time, but it's worth it. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, be clear of where the destination is.
Yeah,
but know that there's a journey to get there.
Yeah, and of course as well, you can change your destination along the way. Yeah. So you just have to make the baby steps to kind of get there, and if it changes, that's fine. But I think the sooner you can start, the better.
Yeah. Tell me, so when did the vision for Store One come about for you to be independent, own your own store?
So Paw Cafe was my first one, and my dad had Greener Pie at the time, which was sold 3 times by the time he had it. And it was very big, and this was going on 14 years ago now. There wasn't many cafes in the industry, and also him having that business, he was struggling to pay rent, and we're like, what can we do to kind of, make this place cover the bills?
Yeah.
Jerry and Foxy Bean across the road, he actually said to us, you should open a cafe. So that was my opportunity. I'm very lucky to have my dad enabled me to do that. So I pretty much did my internship with Paw and retrofitted the back with kind of vintage furniture, hired this chef that we'd done pop-ups with before, and we pretty much had the back door of Greener Pie, which is Paw now, was the entrance to Paw Cafe.
Yes.
There already was a bar there, so the coffee machine was on there. Our team would come during the day, and then they would leave, and then my dad's Greener Pie team would come in at night time. So it was 2 restaurants from the one.
Isn't that amazing? So you guys planned it strategically, humble beginnings, none of this massive amount of money and starting with, $500,000 fit outs and all the rest of it.
We actually didn't do $500,000 fit out until I did that post-COVID when after 10 years.
After 10 years, there you go.
Yes, and I would never tell anyone to do that in the beginning, and, I always just say DIY, learn along the way. And one of my very good Marina worked for me for 6 years at Paw, and she's just opened up her own place in the Gold Coast. And I said the same thing, like, you don't get a loan.
Start smart.
Do it with what you can, because then if all fails, you haven't gone backwards.
Yeah, I love that advice. Get comfortable with your worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Right? And what's the worst thing that could possibly happen? And you certainly don't want to be losing everything you've worked for.
Exactly.
And as we keep talking, entrepreneurs don't bet, and I don't like the word entrepreneurs, but let's just say business people, successful people, entrepreneurs, as most listeners would know, call them, don't bet the house.
Yeah.
They're very strategic, and they start with humble beginnings. And all the characteristics that you've just spoken about, they get in, they have a go, they're good with people, they learn. And when they open their own venue, they open smart.
Yes.
So talk us through what you learnt at that period. You were moving in during the day. Your dad then moved in at night. Talk us through the learnings of Store One.
Store One was like, we were open 7 days, and Amy, who still works with me now, she was a barista, and it was me. And I think we were working 7 days, me and her. We were doing like $500 a day back then.
Which is still good money back then.
Yeah,
but working long hours.
Yeah, it was so just, and it grew over time, but it was just me and Amy. But that wasn't enough to have any more staff members.
Yes.
So that was just the 2 of us, and we couldn't afford any more. So I remember there's memories, if Amy was here, we were young then, so going out the night before, hungover, vomiting at
We've
work.
all been there.
Keep going, So it was, running lean, getting to know customers, customer feedback, definitely the first couple of years, which is off topic a bit, but like Google reviews would hit you. You'd be like, you'd have sleepless nights.
Hey, it's your story. It's not off topic.
Okay, well,
we're exploring the world of Georgina Venzin.
That was stressful. Even my dad and my brother still gets, people get so stressed now, but that would be like, we've got to change everything. But it was just like, learning everything as you go, changing menus. Instagram kind of came out then. So I've, got onto working with influencers very quickly. I remember I looked out the window one day and this girl with pink hair was doing a photo shoot, and I was like, who is this girl? And then I saw her in the newspaper. and she was an influence at the time. And then I followed her, and then I started thinking, if we can make food like fashion, like what the fashion boutiques were doing already, that can be a good thing. So then I jumped on that for Paw Paw, and that's how Paw Paw grew its following so quick. So it was very important to make relationships with people and talk to people and take on feedback and adapt and change constantly.
3 major things there, right? Take on feedback, adapt, change, and build relationships.
Yeah.
Which are 3 fundamentals of good operators, right?
Yeah.
And Paw Paw today, still going strong.
Still going strong.
Still love it?
Yeah, I love it. We've survived everything, you know, and we still have to continue to adapt. Like, you know, we weren't relevant for a moment there because we are so old and new things are opening all the time. I think we definitely were, you know, forgotten. So we have to constantly be with it. That's why we're doing the matcha float at the moment. You know, through the 14 years, we did Cocoa Whip. I don't know if you remember that, but it was like we were the first to have Cocoa Whip, you know, and that went boom. And then obviously that fad died, and then you've got to, like, you know, be doing something else or, you know, so you have to stay relevant.
You got to stay relevant. I talk about you got to solve problems better than anyone else.
Yeah.
You got to be more relevant than anyone else, and you got to tell a story better than anyone else. So, and something you've become really good of late, and we'll fast track in a second, but is telling that story. But before we go there, tell us, okay, store one, what was the vision post that? So you got to Paw Paw to where you wanted it to be, and because I know you're very entrepreneurial and you love having a go, but you're very structured. You know, you look after yourself. You also got a nice spiritual side to yourself, so we'll explore that after. But so tell us the vision from store one to then expand.
Well, Dad, again, had an Italian restaurant next to Monstein. It wasn't doing really well. And I was like, hey, look what we've done here. Let's flip it. And me and my dad have an awesome relationship, as you know. And he said, okay. So we shut the doors. I went, you know, new chairs, new paint job, hired a new chef, revamped. We reopened and we doubled the turnover within week 1 from what he was doing with the Italian. And then I was like, hey, like we know what we're doing here. We can flip cafes like people were flipping houses.
Yes.
So then it was just kind of the adrenaline which led the next like 10 years, and we'd just be on Gumtree, like looking for like things going out of business or like, you know, opportunities where it was kind of already there with regards to the kitchen or the plumbing.
Foundations,
foundations, because obviously is where it costs so much. And we didn't have a lot of money to go do the $500,000 fit outs, and also we didn't have the confidence then yet. So then it was just like, let's do this. And then, so probably store 4, I'm going to think it was Little Paw Paw, which is in Kedron, because we did, or maybe Piggyback.
Some cool names too, right?
Yeah, we always had like funky names that would remember something. I was still young. I was just having fun, you know. I kind of didn't. Now I'm a lot more making a 5-year plan, more structured. It was just more like, I love this. I love what I'm doing. And I was learning so much.
But you're working with the resources too. You've had an amazing mentor being your dad. You've got an amazing relationship with him.
Yeah.
And this is one thing listeners need to really understand is everybody's situation is different. Because one of the things I'm sick of seeing sometimes is that they look at somebody and go, I want to be that person. How about you just be yourself?
Yeah.
You learn from that person, learn from others.
Yeah.
The most learning for me is coming from people that have actually made mistakes because you learn what not to do, hopefully.
Yeah.
But be yourself. And I think that's one thing that I give you credit for is through, you know, that your stores different, they have a sense of individualism about them, you know, but you also have obviously a great support in your dad, who's got that wisdom and he's a full-time mentor and all the rest of it. So, of course, your story is not somebody else's story. And so people listening to this, it's, you know, what we want you to do is grab a little bit from everybody that resonates with you. But the key takeaway is work with the resources you have around you, you know, work with good people. The fundamentals are the same. Solve a problem, be relevant and tell the story.
Yep.
You know, don't bet it all, be measured.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so let's talk through. So if I had to say, what's your baby? What's your favourite store?
Oh, they'll all get upset with this. I mean, Paw Paw is my first child, but Davella is my...
And that's not Debella for the listeners, right?
Yeah.
The amount of people have asked me, did you open a store called Davella?
Me too.
And I said, no, that's not mine. That's Georgina's.
Darvella, which is where my dad is from in Switzerland. Just because we have so much fun. I'm really creative, and with the patisserie and pastry side of things, we can do different things every week and all the time. Like, you can't change the cafe menus as often as we can that. So, like, it's just really fun coming up with ideas and executing it. Like, we can come up with an idea last night and like tomorrow it's out there.
And have it happening. Tell me, which a big thing that listeners need to be across and what's been really good for you and made you successful is bringing out the personality of each store.
Yes.
Paw Paw's got its own personality.
Yes.
You know, Monza has its own personality.
Yeah.
You know, Davella has its own personality. Talk us through that. Because obviously it's a part of who you are. It's a part of your upbringing. It's a part of your vibrancy and inspiration, and you love people. You know, but talk us through the personality and how you adopt that to each store.
Yeah, every venue is completely different and does have their own personality. Like, so, you know, Paw Paw is, you know, Asian inspired. So, like, we have a huge Thai community in there. So it's, you know, we've got to have that in our messaging and our menu. And then yet again, our Instagram website is more that way. Same with the Davella, and then we get down to Sichuan, it's Mediterranean. So, you know, not our chefs aren't necessarily from down there, but it's still the story that we tell in making our pasta from scratch.
Yeah, it's the identity.
And things like that. And it's making the story as well for our diners who love us. And what we do is you can come and have a different experience at every venue. It's not the same. And, you know, showcasing the team is really important. I've noticed that since getting them online more, just the sense of pride that they have, because customers are coming in and thinking they're little celebrities of each store, which is like so nice. Like when they're seeing their barista or the head chef or the manager, and then, you know, because I'm not there every day, the regulars have the relationship with the team.
Yeah,
so they're like, we saw you on that video, and then it makes them feel proud, and then it's a trickle effect.
Yeah. And the key message there is emotional engagement.
Yeah.
Is you know, obviously building amazing products for each store and aligning to a brand and an identity is important. Keep it authentic, keep within the parameters. But something I want to segue into, which I think you're brilliant at doing, is telling the story. And I say to people, once you solve a problem better than anyone and you build the relevance and all the things that Georgina's just spoken about with identity and passion and engaging, how do you tell that story? Let's talk the listeners through it, because you've been fantastic at telling the story. You know, we've got a video that's went viral.
I know.
You know, which was great. Some of the comments were a little bit easygoing.
I turned the comments off.
Oh, yeah, but I told you not to, right? I said leave the comments because, you know, it says a lot more about them than it does about us. But that's okay. It's your show, not mine. This one's my show, so we won't be turning comments off. As long as people are respectful, I'm happy for people to have their say. But let's go back to telling a story, because you're really good at it. Your personality comes through on it. Whether it's Davella, you tell that in a certain way. If it's Paw Paw, you tell another one. If it's Citron, talk us through what goes on in the strategy and the mindset of that storytelling, which is marketing, right?
Yeah.
So let's break down how you go about your marketing.
It's very organic. I have no serious structure that I can like tell you, because I probably haven't like gone and like written that down and figured out what I'm doing. I think because I know my stores so well, I know their personality, so I know how to push that in our messaging. So I guess if you know your own venue, well, it's important for you to understand your venue and the feeling that you want to have people have. I'm really big on all the venues about making everyone happy. Big family culture, my staff, keeping them happy fundamentally. So with my personal socials that I'm doing now is I actually, from when I sat down with you that time looking for a bit of mentorship, I thought there's so many people like me that don't have access to like you all the time, that I thought I want to share that then with everyone else if I can. And that's why I started doing the interview series.
Which are fantastic.
Thank you. So that's pretty much like my own journey, but sharing it with everyone, just to also fulfill my creativity.
Yeah. But you keep it authentic. And I mean, that's the key for me. I mean, obviously strategy and marketing is my background, right?
Yeah.
So dissecting it from a professional point of view is you keep it authentic. You know your identity. You each one, you don't apply the same principle to each store or to each element. When you're promoting yourself, you do it in a very authentic, measured way, but with this touch of spiritualness, because that's you.
Yeah.
If it's your staff, it's, hey, these guys are the fundamental people behind my business. And if it's the identity of the products in your business, like with your pastries, your recent one with the Eka was just amazing with that donut. You know, unfortunately, I don't want to go back to looking the way I used to. So I made sure I stayed away.
Everything in moderation.
Everything in moderation. Like it's just fantastic. And again, I'm breaking that down from a professional marketing point of view, is that you're telling a story that's engaging people. And when you engage people, then they feel part of something. No different to what we're trying to do here at the Coffee Commune, no different to what you're doing with your personal thread now where you're doing the interviews, because we need people like you, Georgina, to tell that story, not only because the story is worth telling, but we need people that are in their teens and 20s, which is something I want to talk about in a second, to get inspired.
Yeah.
Because you were lucky enough to be, have a very great relationship with your dad, to be brought into the industry and inspired. I was lucky enough to start washing dishes at my brother's pizza shop at 14, which got me interested, and then to go and work in Brisbane's first roasting house, which got me very curious about coffee, deeper than obviously my parents being coffee lovers. Everybody has a story, and that story is worthy of telling, and that's exactly why we've brought you onto the show, because I want people to get inspired by you, and I want people to say, hey, I can be Georgina, and of course your own version of that, because you don't want to be Georgina. Georgina is Georgina. Yes. Go and be yourself, but use her story to inspire you. What would you say to somebody who's listening to this in their teens? Because we had an off-record chat before. It wasn't off-record, it just wasn't being taped, where you made a comment and said, I'm getting a lot of people in their 20s now applying for jobs, but I'm not getting the teenagers. Mm-hmm. What would you say to the teenagers that, might have an interest in hospitality?
I think they should definitely start. You can come work for me. It's a great place to work, but I think it's, you get your foot in the door, give it a go. Do it for 6 months, for a year, and if you don't like it, do something else. But the amount of skills I feel anyone in any industry gains from working in hospitality is just huge. It's just people skills, one-on-one, which you'll then take into even a corporate job. It's just you got to stand there and you got to greet everyone walking in like, good morning. And I think just that is the simplest skill set that then you can then take into, if you become a doctor or a lawyer, of just, that genuine smile when you greet any new client or patient. And I just think I think everyone should have to do hospitality as a school subject.
I love that. And I was talking to somebody last week at this when we were holding our round tables, and I said that hospitality should actually be mandatory, because those that have been in hospitality, it doesn't matter what industry somebody's in now, I can look at them and say, you've worked in hospitality.
Yeah.
And that is the way they're structured, the way they keep their offices desks, the way they plan, the way they talk on the phone.
Yeah.
My nieces started in hospitality and both lawyers.
Yeah.
And you can tell that they're not your typical lawyer that just went straight to, an office job or reading and doing, and it's no disrespect to lawyers, but you can see they've actually had hospitality training because of the way they act, and no different with doctors.
Yeah.
You can tell people. So you know what? If you're listening to this and you're in your teens or you've got teenagers, get them into hospitality, get them washing dishes. Mm-hmm. If anything, they're going to help you around the house, right? Which is a bonus.
Exactly.
But get them into cooking, get them into life skills, because the one thing that hospitality does is generates life skills that you will take for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I always say where you start is not where you always finish. I started washing dishes. I still wash dishes. I was in here on Saturday washing dishes.
That's my favourite thing. Being glassy, actually, in the glass section.
There you go. But you never stop. But it isn't where I am, and it's certainly not where you are. And the other people we've been discussing their success. Where you start is not where you finish, because that's why we call it accelerating potential, and growing and the rest of it. So tell me, what's the vision for you? You're at 4 stores that you own on your own. There's 2 others that the family owns together as well.
Yes.
But what's the vision? What's you? So you're now 34, 34, even though you don't look like you're in your 30s, so you're doing well. What happens in fast forward 10 years? What does success look like to you?
God, I definitely want, another thing from these videos is turn my work into travel more.
Yes.
I want to do that. I want to create a better training structure for my current staff, and then hopefully that's something that I can help other operators with, because I feel like you have new people coming in all the time, and then you kind of forget that you've got to teach them the fundamentals again, because you just forget that people don't come in knowing those things that we probably learnt back then, because it's not being taught. So I guess I would like to have more of an educated teacher role. I don't really want to open up any more venues. I'm happy with the 4. I want to keep working on my 4. I want to grow my leaders that I have and hopefully give them more opportunities, either with me, opening up their own venue, or to go work for someone else. I love that progression. And maybe turn a more educator style role.
Yeah, I love it. And the industry needs you, because hospitality today is completely different to hospitality, when you were 13.
Yes, exactly.
And
And there's also not that many females in the industry, so I definitely would love to address that more should come, because, it can be such a gentle, kind, rewarding place. Like with that style leadership, doesn't have to be, macho. Yeah, you can have just like your beautiful little coffee shop where you just, it doesn't have to be this big thing like Devella's turned into. You can have a little hole in the wall and just love making coffees every day and talking to people, and that can be so fulfilling. For it's not everyone has to
create your own identity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we've seen some great operators that are operating 5 hours a day, Monday to Friday.
Yeah,
and have a great life, right?
Yeah,
and that's what ticks the boxes for them. And so let's talk a little bit about harmony, right? Because I know that you like working on yourself as well as obviously with there. But I talk about personal, professional, family.
Yes.
So talk us through, Georgina, from the perspective of personal, professional, and family.
As in who I am, or what I like to do?
Both. The floor's yours. This is your story. So who are you? What do you like? What's the plan? Talk about what you're comfortable with. Again, it's about sharing your story, your success, and success isn't just business.
Yeah.
Success is who you are as a person, as an individual, and obviously family. You've got a good relationship with your father and the rest of it. But what's what are the learnings? What are the keys? What are the things that float your boat? What are what is going to inspire people? Because other people are going to sit out here, and a lot of people listening will know your brands.
Yeah.
You didn't start at success.
Yeah.
Nobody starts at success.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lead up to that.
Yes.
So you already got captured with what we spoke about, but tell them more about who you are personally and a bit more about the family side of things.
So just firstly, starting on the now to success, I winged it, and I winged it the whole way. So everyone listening, now with podcasts and everything you can learn on Instagram, there's so many tools to learn from all our mistakes. So that's one thing. I don't say I'm any formally trained. I never worked in any Michelin star restaurants or anything like that. I just had the ambition and the drive. Obviously, I used to want to be Janine and be a billionaire having boost juice. Sorry. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm a lot more holistic, that I will love, I love what I do. I love the success of what I do. I love making my stores grow, and I want them to be better, but I still want to have the lifestyle now of going to the beach, reading books, which I've just been work. I've only started reading in the last 2 years, and I actually have such a joy if I finish a book. It's so rewarding. So I definitely am a lot more holistic in my work-life balance, and that's very important to me. So making more time with friends, because I missed all that in my 20s. And that's part of the success road. You have to make that
sacrifices, yeah.
But I did do that for 10 years, and now I am where I am, which I'm very fortunate. So more time with friends. I'm far better relationship with my family, which also comes with maturity. I love yoga, meditation, running, walking. I love moving my body. That's very important. And I love having deep conversations like that with people. It's very important for me, and to have just really good positive energy. Now I have the skill set when bad things happen, I can deal with it so well and push it out. So that's just very important for me to keep that good energy.
Yeah.
And then, back into what we do, it's very important for me, because then I can teach, when my young staff are dealing with a shitty situation, I have the skills to be able to help them deal with that far quicker than probably I could when I was that age.
Yeah, you're mentoring them now.
Yeah.
The next generation.
Which I love.
Yeah. Well, I can see it puts a big smile on your face. And tell me, and what are you seeing? How many staff now across all the businesses? We
have about 100 on the books in the 6 stores.
There you go. And what are you seeing the commonalities? Are you seeing the people, in their 20s wanting to own their own? And they don't all have to go and own their own, but are you seeing them? I suppose the better question is, do they see it as a career?
I love when I interview, guys in their 20s wanting to do that. I love it when someone wants to open up their own cafe, because that's, long term for me. I'm not seeing it as much anymore, but I'm also that's okay if you want to have, sometimes it's better to have a really good job working for a good owner. Not everyone, it isn't for everyone. And
not sustainable too.
Exactly. So I'm happy that's why I just want to create the Venzin Group, and my venues are really place. And even people that I'm talking to, everyone's doing this. If we can make places where people are proud to say, I am a manager for this operation, because it's always had a bit of a stigma where it's not a real job. So, and in Europe, it's a real job. It's such a real job. Everyone's so proud, and you go and the waiters are there till
they love their jobs.
They retire.
And they love people.
Exactly. So if we can make people, the industry shift in a way where it's this is, a long-term career, And I would love to have people like, Amy's been with me for 14 years and she runs Monocle, and I'm like, that is your shop, Amy. Like I let her do what she wants, and I would love more of that.
Yeah. It's a good point because, years ago you can say, right, it was a stepping stone, when people are on $10, $12, $15 an hour. One of my passions is I never talk about this industry being overpaid. I actually talk the opposite, that the customers need to pay more so that the vendors can pay their staff more because we want professionals in the industry and the customer wins.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about how wonderful the waiters in Italy or France are. They are professionals, but they're paid professional wages. Yeah. There's a reason why you sit with the Eiffel Tower view and you pay $50 for a pasta or $80 for a steak, because that waiter is getting paid professional wages, and that's why you're getting professional service. Yeah. It's all got to be relative. And there's some listeners, as we know, that will go, oh, but $80 for a steak, are you crazy? Yeah, but if you want the staff to be paid, professional wages, and they've got to be professional for what they're getting paid, then you've got to pay. Yeah. As we talked about in your video, 40 to 45% of a ticket price when you're sitting in a cafe or restaurant is going straight to wages. Yeah. And no quality vendor should whinge about that. Yeah. What we should be doing is getting the customer to understand that we want to pay professionals, not hopeless staff. We want to pay professionals more, but that means that, it's going to be reflective in the price of their products.
And also in there, like, we have to spend on training staff. I think that people don't get that sometimes. It's like we actually need to invest to train this baby barista to get to the level that you expect. If we don't invest in training, there's not going to be skills anymore. So that's something that people have to understand when sometimes your favourite barista isn't on the machine, and the second one is we actually need to train that person to kind of get as good as the other one as well.
Otherwise we become an ageing population.
Yeah.
And one of my things is, I'm not that old, but I probably am for this industry at 49, right? Some people call me the granddad and I go, holy shit. But I suppose that could be seen as a compliment, right? I started early and the rest of it. But I remember the 90s when it was hard to get a cup of coffee and it was hard to get a good place to eat. It was 1 in 50 venues. Yeah. Whereas now it's probably 40 in 50 venues that products are amazing. And I get it, the listeners out there saying, oh, but the staffing, Well, what do you think created the staffing problem? That we've had more venues open than what people can fill them, right? There's no training wage anymore. Yeah. So people aren't bringing the people in or can't afford to bring them in to train them. Yeah. But we're working on that. The Coffee Commune's working on that. And this podcast isn't about the doom and gloom. It's more about the understanding. But for people to understand the positive side, look at where you came from. Look at what you were getting paid at, off record you weren't at 13 because legally you can't be, right? But let's just say when you became legal age and you're getting paid, you look back to then and you look back to what people are getting now. It is a career, to your point. It is a career. Definitely. And it is a career that we need to obviously encourage people to want to go into.
Because we didn't have Sunday wages back then, did we?
Most people didn't even open on a Sunday.
Yeah, we didn't open on Sunday, and now there's, a lot of perks.
A lot of changes, right? And for the positive.
Yeah.
Because like I said, you can go out there now and 40 out of 50 venues will be fantastic.
Yeah.
Right? And we want that to continue. We don't want it to go back to the model where good luck trying to find a good place for a coffee, a good place for a cocktail or a good place to eat something. I mean, people don't realise it wasn't until Expo 88 that, the cafe scene actually started in Brisbane, and it wasn't until Lord Mayor Jim Sawley actually granted the first outdoor, now I'm showing my age, right? Outdoor dining permit at Park Road, which was La Dolce Vita, and then Cafe Mondial in the city, which is still there. Yeah. And both of those businesses are still operating under, I think Mondial's still the original owner, his son's looking after it, Sam's son, but, Joe Verzi sold it many years ago. But those two were the first Brisbane cafes to have outdoor dining. And I was, I think, 16 or 17 at the time. Wow. So it's not that long ago. It's only 30 years ago. Yeah. Right? And in 30 years' time, if we don't have people like Georgina Venzin and the young people coming through and being inspired, where's the industry going to be? Do you ever think about that?
Robots.
No. Robots don't have a heartbeat.
Yeah, I know. Look, that's why aware people, I think we just have to keep refining on it, and hopefully doing this will shift a new breed of people coming through. And, I do have some great young people with me that have been moving at all my stores and doing everything. And now one of them is going to work at a hotel, which is awesome. And all my staff, they're welcome to come back anytime.
Yeah, I love that.
So this girl is baby me, and she already hustles me sometimes to invest, which is really great because it's like she's learning from me with
how cool is
things. This is Maddie, if anyone's listening. And I think, I already can see the leaders in my group.
Yeah. And that's what I love what you're doing. You're breeding the next generation, and don't stop what you're doing, especially with all of the media stuff you're doing as well. Our great producer here, Gilberto, will make sure that when the summary of notes will go up, also how people can get in touch with yourself. We'll put the links to the Venzin Group and your amazing venues. People should go and try them, especially if you love pastries out at Davella. If you want breakfast with a difference, Paw. Obviously great Mediterranean food, Citron and Monocle. Tell me about Monocle.
Monocle is just like your little espresso bar. So it's like a local coffee shop where it's like the same customers go every day for them.
Isn't that fantastic? So this is a lady that's been there, done that, which is what this show's all about. Great success story with Georgina. Now, Georgina, you're talking to 13-year-old Georgina.
Yes.
Give me some of the key tips.
That I would tell her?
Yeah.
Hang in there. Everything's going to be all right. You're on the right track. And just keep being positive and keep smiling.
And don't forget about yourself. Because without yourself being number one, you can't. Well, I talk about my pyramid of success is health at the top, and that's not negotiable. And then time and money sits at the bottom two axes.
Yeah.
Enough time, enough money to do what you want when you want.
Yeah.
And to me, a successful person has all three. It's not about the amount of money. It's not about the amount of time. But does somebody have enough time and money to do what they want when they want? And more importantly, do they have their health?
Yes.
Without that, we've got nothing. Yeah. Georgina, I want to say thank you to you. I want to congratulate you on your great success. I want to thank you for being part of the Coffee Commune, and we're about to do some more amazing work with you. So watch this space with what we're doing with Georgina and Cafe Awards and stuff that are coming up soon here at the Coffee Commune, because what we want to do is shine a light and on business owners like yourself. We want to celebrate the industry, and we want locals to celebrate their local venues. Yeah. And for the listeners out there, get out there, put a smile on your face, be patient, because we don't always get it right. Be patient, smile, but always support your local business where you can, because these are the mums and dads. These are the people, the young people of the industry. These are people that are having a go, and putting it on the line includes their time, their life, but more importantly, you're hearing the great stories. They're doing it with a smile, and they want to be in service to you. So, Georgina, we say thank you.
Thank you.
I say thank you. The Coffee Commune thanks you. And we hope that listeners obviously get a lot out of it and go and enjoy some of your great venues that you've created. And
make sure you say hi if you see me anywhere.
Yes, she doesn't bite. She's actually very warm and friendly, especially if she smiles at you, which she smiles 95% of the time. You'll know Georgina from a mile away. But I say thank you again, Georgina. And to the listeners, thank you. Thank you for your time and listening. Please share the love, send the stories out to others so others can hear it. Get your kids involved in hospitality. They will take those skills on for life, and it will change their life, I can assure you. And it might even change your life, because they might cook for you, clean for you, and be a lot more cleaner around the house and structured, I can assure you. It's grown as a son of migrants. That was something that was drummed into me. Yeah. But till next time, you've been listening to Phil DeBella, and this has been there, done that at the Coffee Commune, where we bring real people to the table to talk about the stories, their learnings, their wisdom, and make sure that we capture it and tell their story. So thank you, Georgina, once again. Thank you to the listeners. Until next time, go be the best you can be.
Woohoo! Thank you.
That's a wrap for today. Keep listening for more episodes of Been There and Done That. The Coffee Commune is here to help accelerate your potential. We want you to be better tomorrow than today. Until next time, you've been listening to Phil DeBella. I'm the founder and managing director of the Coffee Commune, a place where the coffee community comes to collaborate.